Hello, and welcome to the Miskatonic Playhouse. I'm T.A. Newman, your host. My team and I will be bringing to life adventures using the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu role-playing game, which contains mature themes, cosmic horror, character death, and loss of sanity. Our mystery can be found in the Miskatonic repository, where people like you and me can write adventures for others to play. We'd like to thank Syrinscape, whose tools have helped provide the background sounds that you hear. And if you'd like to become a friend of the Playhouse, then please support us on Ko-fi. That's kofi.com/Miskatonic Playhouse, where you can gain access to exclusive shows and content for as little as £1. Now it's time to pull back the curtain and roll the dice. Keeper, the stage is yours.
Thank you. And dearest viewer, good evening, and welcome to the Miskatonic Playhouse. I am your most humble servant, ValyGirl Heather, and the keeper for tonight's story, The Well of All Fear by Cat Clay. On this very eve, we enter the Bon Mot, the fashionable world of the Ton, England's high society that includes the aristocracy and the gentry. But even those that espouse the highest of ideals are not immune to the more sordid temptations of life, from the detestable to the dangerous. And it is to this most delightful story that I extend to you all an invitation to join us. But where are my manners? For I am not weaving this tale alone. Introductions are much in order and right with the time. Players, please introduce yourselves and your investigators. And tonight, let us start with Lydia.
Hi everybody, I'm Lydia, and tonight I'm playing gentlewoman abolitionist Miss Ruth Chesterton.
And Stu.
Hello, I'm Stu, and I'm playing Mr. Jonathan Fergusson, a member of the clergy.
And tonight we are joined by two very special guests from Damsels in Distress. Let us start with Taya.
Hi, I'm Taya, and tonight I will be playing aspiring travel writer Miss Penelope Azad.
And Maijai.
Hi, I'm Maijai. I am playing Naval Captain Theodore Trumpeter.
Well, before we start, as with all of my games, the cast and I have discussed any potential red flags or triggers ahead of time. The X card is in play, and please, dear viewer, watch this tale at your own risk. But now that that is out of the way, allow me to take you back. The pages of the calendars flipping in your mind's eye, the hourglass turning and the sands running, back to April of 1813. It's Holy Week in Buxton, in Derbyshire, England, and Easter Sunday is a mere 2 days hence. And it is here that we begin our story. Investigators, 2 weeks ago, each of you received a letter via post from a Miss Louisa Millhouse of Millhouse Manor here in Buxton. The letter invited each of you to a special garden party that she was throwing on Easter Sunday afternoon as part of the Buxton Holy Week, end of Holy Week events. You are each familiar with Miss Louisa and her brother, Henry, who is known to be a rather rakish fellow and a bit of a cad, if one must say, around Buxton. Tell me, we'll go, I think, starting with Lydia. We'll go this way. Lydia, or as I should say, Miss Ruth Chesterton. Miss Chesterton, please tell me, how are you connected to the Millwoods?
Ruth Chesterton really enjoys long, quiet walks along the rugged coastline. And I think during a recent summer break to Brighton last year, she got talking to Miss Louisa Millwood while she was walking on the beach. I think she found Miss Millwood just sitting on the cliff top, maybe sketching, maybe writing in her journal, and they started talking. And they struck a correspondence after that. And I think they've kept in contact for the last few months. And Ruth is very much looking forward to seeing Louisa Millwood again.
Mr. Fergusson, you are a clergyman, and you have done some abolitionist work as well. And I do believe you are familiar with Miss Chesterton. But please tell us, how do you know the Millwoods?
Being a clergyman from nearby Manchester, I am also an acquaintance of the current Reverend at the St. John the Baptist Church in Buxton. I have, upon occasion, been invited to take the pulpit myself, and 'twas during one of these services and sermons that I was introduced to the Millwood family as part of the congregation, part of the flock, as it were. And of course, being a good God-fearing people, as is their wont, we struck up an immediate friendship, and I have been in correspondence with Miss Louisa Millwood for some time. Any time that I am invited to come over to preach in the pulpit at St. John the Baptist's, I, of course, pay my respects to the Millwood family as well.
Excellent. Miss Penelope Azad, a travel writer, unmarried, and generally traveling unaccompanied is something to behold in this particular era. But please tell us, how did you come to be connected or to know the Millwoods?
Well, I was born and raised in London, so I was very present for the London seasons every year. And I have family who are a little more well connected than my particular branch of the family. And so through various dinners and sort of card games and nights in London, the Millwoods would sometimes cross our paths. And Louisa and I in particular struck up a friendship, being both young ladies. And she was always very sympathetic to my more ambitious and, untraditional pursuits. So she was a connection that I always really valued. And we sort of come in and out of correspondence, but I'm always very pleased to see her at occasions.
Wonderful. Captain Trumpeter. A sea captain may not normally be associated with the Ton, but in this case, you do have a connection to the Millwoods. Please let us know what that is.
Well, as you said, sea captains aren't often part of the ton, but we do like to enjoy our travels in. And where else would we go but to the Gentlemen's Club, of course? Well, who would I bump into? None other than Henry Millwood. Henry? Yes, Henry Millwood. And we struck up an excellent conversation, which I shan't bore the audience with. And we became quite chummy. And he decided to introduce me to his lovely sister, who I must say is quite fetching. And yes, I've enjoyed many a visit, a tea out with them.
Wonderful. Well, as I said, about 2 weeks ago, each of you received the invitation from Miss Millwood to attend Millwood Manor and the afternoon garden party that is being held there after, of course, church services in the morning. Ruth and Penelope, you arrived to Buxton about 3 days ago and have settled quite comfortably into the Crescent Hotel. Now, the Crescent is very, very familiar because it is based on the Royal Crescent in London, a beautiful sandstone curve building that is rather posh. Let me see if I can pull this up with our handout. And it's somewhere in here. So we'll get that handout in just a minute, showing that. But for you, this is the appropriate place to be. The only other hotel in the area, the Graves Hotel, is rather unsavory and certainly not appropriate for some very young gentlewoman to stay at. So this is most appropriate. But while you were there, you happened to come across and meet Captain Trumpeter, who, well, Penelope, if nothing else, the captain has wonderful stories. And of course, you are just taking all of this in. And having the captain there, he's been a very kind companion to you. So you've been able to step out when and where appropriate to do so, and have become rather fast friends. Mr. Fergusson, you yourself, as you said, have been at St. John's and been staying in the spare room at the rectory there. You've been assisting with all of the Holy Week festivities, the masses, the general responsibilities of the clergy during such a special time. Everything kind of came to a head on Maundy Thursday, which is the Thursday just prior to Easter. And there was a fellowship gathering held locally in Huntley Hall. Huntley Hall, that is headed up and owned by Mrs. Elizabeth Huntley. She has 2 adult children who live under her roof, whether she's happy about that or not. You met her daughter, Miss Cecilia Huntley, who is known to be much of a flirt, and her son, Mr. Spencer Huntley, who has been known to pass his days as an amateur chemist, but very much a lover of plants. You've also met Mrs. Mackenzie, their housekeeper, who was busy running around during this event. In the course of this, you haven't met or seen Henry anywhere, and really only very briefly interacted with Louisa at Huntley Hall. She seemed to be unhappy. She was not, she really just did not she didn't seem comfortable being in that setting. And especially as Spencer Huntley kept trying to talk to her about plants and going on about his current projects, she did not really seem to want to be there at all. She spoke with you briefly, making sure to extract promises that you would absolutely be at the party on Sunday, and then made her exit as soon as it was appropriate for her to do so. But the biggest talk of the gathering, and which excited all of you, was the fact that the Buxton Ladies Horticulture Society Spring Ball was happening on Sunday evening. The garden party is a small private affair at Millwood Manor during the early afternoon, with the ball following in the evening down at Huntley Hall. And it is supposed to be the event of the season. After instructions had been made, all of you were invited, as it would be very impolite as invite guests of Miss Millwood to be excluded from such an event. And you're pretty sure that Mrs. Elizabeth Huntley really wants everybody there, especially any member of the ton. It's a must attend event. Some of the things that you came across and overheard, you know that Mrs. Huntley has high hopes that her son Spencer and Miss Louisa will, shall we say, come to an arrangement, and that marriage would be forthcoming. That is her hope, that this would happen at the ball. And she made sure that almost everybody in the fellowship gathering had heard this. Also, you very much overheard that she has a very strong distaste for Henry. In fact, you overheard her saying that how much of a disgrace to the name gentleman that he was, that he's gambling his family fortune into ruin, and that it is highly unfortunate that poor Miss Millwood has to deal with her degenerate brother. She said this on the rather down low, very quietly, as it would not be polite to discuss such matters, but it wasn't so quiet that you did not overhear as you were standing close by. At this point, we are at Good Friday. So 2 days hence will be Easter Sunday and all of the festivities. But until then, Good Friday has come, and all of you have just exited a wonderful Good Friday Mass headed up by our very own Mr. Fergusson. As you exit the church, as you exit St. John's, there is an older man in finer livery comes up to you with much haste and holds out a letter. You recognize him as Sir Jonah McIntosh. He is the footman from the Millwoods, and he hands a letter. Who would like to take the letter?
I'll take it.
Okay. And if we could put that in for everyone to see, and then if you could read the letter for everyone.
Dearest friends, I am beyond myself with relief to hear that you are in Buxton, for I am afeard something terrible has happened to my brother. Come as quickly as you can to Millwood Manor. Sorry. I lament our rendezvous cannot be under more joyful circumstances. Yours, Miss Louisa Millwood. Well, I suppose we must be off then.
Gosh, I do hope everything's all right.
Is all well?
Well, clearly not.
Miss Millwood.
May I take a look? Well, it is her hand, and it does seem rather more worried than normal.
Poor Louisa. What does she think could have happened to her brother? Has he got himself into debt, perhaps? I know he does have a taste for cards.
He is a most perfidious gambler, but surely he's been behaving himself on this of the most holy of weekends.
Well, one would hope so.
Indeed. I feel we must make haste to Millwood Manor.
Yes, of
Absolutely.
course.
I should not
All
wish
right.
Louisa to feel herself alone in this.
Of
Or
course
like
not.
hail a carriage or something. I'm assuming there's a carriage nearby. There's always a carriage nearby.
You are able to arrange the services of a carriage, and that will take you rather swiftly out to Millwood Manor. And I will get that.
Keeper, during the
Yes.
during the ceremony, the communion that I just gave,
Yes.
is it fair to assume that neither Miss Millwood nor her brother Henry were in the congregation?
They were not.
We're not.
They were
Notably
not,
absent.
which for you, you know that Henry missing church, that seems to happen on a at least semi-regular basis. You're pretty sure it's because he is probably up late and passed out somewhere or goodness knows where. For Miss Louisa to miss church, though, that does stand out to you. She is almost always right there, and if nothing else, praying for the soul of her brother.
In that case, I'll pass that on to my fellow investigators. Yes, it really must be something most dreadful if she is not in attendance in church. I fear
Right.
that our expediting our journey is of the utmost necessity.
Quite agree.
So So you travel to Millwood Manor and get there within due course. You are welcomed in by the door opens, they're welcomed in by the appropriate housekeepers, and brought to a rather beautiful sitting room. Millwood Manor, while it is considered almost humble by some of the standards of the homes of the Tawn out in this area, certainly to Huntley Hall, which is very grand and meant to impart that feeling. Huntley Hall seems almost cozy, even though it is still a manor house. Miss Louisa rises as she hears you enter inappropriately. She is very distraught. You can tell, even though she does the proper polite curtsy and all the pleasantries. There's a spread of tea and some small sandwiches and a few nibbles on the table that the housekeeper has just brought in. And she offers tea, but you can tell that she seems very upset. Thank you. Thank you for coming so quickly. I am beside myself. I fear that Henry may have finally. Oh dear, I can't say it. I can't.
It's all right, Louisa, my dear. You're in very safe company.
Yes, my poor dear Louisa, please, sit down. Sit down. Let us pour you some tea. That will make everything seem a little brighter.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, my friends. I just don't know what I would do. He hasn't been home. I have no idea where he is. I have made discreet inquiries, and normally him disappearing for a couple of days is not unusual, but now, oh,
When did you last
oh,
see him?
oh, oh, it was let me think, almost over a week now, not quite two. Again, if it was a day or even two, that I would not as I always worry. I mean, he is my brother, but almost over a week? No, no, no. I truly fear. And I overheard. Oh dear, I overheard at Huntley Hall yesterday. Oh, I overheard that some something terrible may have come to him. Nobody has seen him. I knew it. I knew his gambling ways would get him into trouble one day.
Well, don't fear, we're on the case, as they say. I'm sure we'll hunt him down and find him in no time. He's probably in some hotel room somewhere. I'm sure it's
Cool.
nothing to worry about.
Or a gaming house. Perhaps he simply lost track of time.
Well, I would like to think so, but I mean, I can't exactly just go to those places. And I have the garden party that I have to oversee the details, and then there's preparations. I know the ball with. Oh God, I'm overwhelmed, and perhaps. Oh yes, perhaps. Well, and she very directly looks um at you, Captain Trumpeter. Perhaps you would be able to make inquiries that well, you understand I cannot.
Well, of course, I've already had thoughts on where to check. I wouldn't possibly imagine asking you to go to some place like this by yourself. Well, at all. It
Okay,
is
I
not to worry.
But Captain Trumpeter, such a den of iniquity. Surely a little bit of spiritual guidance would be appreciated as well. What? I'm sure to join you, and
Would you like to join me, Mr. Fergusson?
I think it's probably only fair. And he picks up a sandwich and a cup of tea.
Yes,
Oh,
I'm sure you'll enjoy it there.
I'm sure so. So,
I would be so appreciative. Thank you so very, very much. And she looks a little too directly at the captain as she says that. Oh, well, uh, I may be able to, let's see. He's been to almost every gambling house in the city. I honestly don't know where you would start. I mean, there's like the card house at the Crescent, there, the Graves Hotel. The things I've heard go on there. Oh, so salubrious. Oh, um, there may be. Let's see. I have heard that he does keep rather close, a close confidence, uh, with Sir Cumberton, over at Inglemere Hall. That might be a place to start.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, you mustn't overworry yourself. Focus on your party, focus on the things that you can control. And you have a host of people with a range of abilities here, and I'm sure he'll turn up somewhere. He can't have vanished off the face of the earth.
Goodness, I do hope so. I do worry. And if his debts continue, because if anything happens to him,
I'm sure this will be a lesson for him not to worry you so. And we will impress upon him that he simply cannot behave in such a fashion and worry his dear sister.
indeed, Miss Chesterton, I feel you are most poised to give him a stern talking to once we find the rascal.
I fear neither gamblers nor any iniquities. I visited slave ships. There is very little I have to fear in any den of iniquity in this country.
Well said.
it's not even his health. That is a main concern. Please do not misconstrue my intentions. But if anything happens to him, I will lose the manor. I will have no place to live. I will have nothing to live
I quite understand, Louisa, but it shan't come to that.
No, it shan't. And we would never see you in penury. Never. You know that.
My dear Miss Millwood, we shall always make sure that you are absolutely safe and secured in your future.
Oh, thank you,
And I give a slight wink.
Dear, thank you, my dear friends. And she puts a hand out. And thank you so very much. Please, yes. Well, let us have some tea and calm my nerves.
I feel this is a very good point. Shall I pour? And Jonathan Mr. Fergusson picks up the teapot, pours everybody a healthy cup of tea. He seems to have 2 teacups next to himself, which he double fills, and helps himself to a couple more sandwiches as well. While looking over and noticing that maybe people have noticed his extra sandwiches, he does say, and remember, of course, Matthew 6:25. Take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat and what ye shall drink. And stuffs a sandwich into his mouth, as delicately as one can.
Do you have lots of sandwiches on your plate next to you?
I fear so, yes.
Yes, I'm going to take one of those sandwiches and eat it.
Louisa seems to calm herself and sip her tea and a little bit of light conversation of the weather and everyone's health and a story. Though you leave out the body bits, Captain seems to help calm her down as she seems to regather herself. She imparts onto all of you a bit of information. She talks about that the last time she saw her brother, he had escorted her home after attending the monthly dance at the assembly rooms that are over, as you know, as part of the Crescent. After she went to bed, she was awoken by the sound of a horse on the gravel driveway and saw her brother leave in the night towards town. She didn't think much of it because he does that. He leaves in the evening and he goes and gambles all night. So she didn't think much of it, but that was the last time she saw him. While they were there at the dance in the assembly rooms, she was dancing, but she noticed her brother leave to go smoke in the card room. But when he came back, he was very agitated, and in fact was that way the entire time from that point on throughout the evening. He seemed to try to cover it, but was doing it very poorly. Whatever occurred in the card room, she's unsure of, but it was definitely unsettling for her brother. He then, one of the things that she does remember him telling her on the carriage ride home was his talk turned to marriage, of her finding a husband quickly. He seemed to just kind of go on and on about how she needed to be taken care of, and that she was definitely now that she's 18, of an age that it's inappropriate, that she must find a husband, even though the talk really seemed to bother him. She knew he was very much in earnest about this. While she doesn't know what happened, she doesn't want to speak ill of her brother. She suspects that, he was probably off gambling, and either lost something a large amount of money. She expresses her fear about that, and which is rightfully so. As you know, if something happens to him, they could lose the home. And being a woman, barely 18, this could be very difficult for her.
Miss Millwood, you say that you fear
Yes.
you may lose the home should Henry come to an untimely end. May I ask?
Yes.
I'm assuming that the home itself is entailed to another male family member. Who stands to inherit if Henry is, so they say, out of the picture?
Oh, I'm unsure. I do believe that we have a distant cousin. Um, I believe they're in London. I don't know much about that. Henry never really talked much about that. He always told me not to worry and that I would be married and it wouldn't matter anyway. So there may be something in his study, some papers or something that would tell us. Wish I could be more help. I'm so sorry.
Would you permit us to have a look through his study?
Oh, of course. Anything that would help.
It might at least tell us who he's been recently socializing with. Perhaps whoever it was that he went to meet in the middle of the night when you last saw him.
Indeed, and whether there are any particularly prevalent creditors who might be after him at this moment.
Yeah.
You say he approached a carriage, or there was a carriage. The sound of carriages out on the gravel outside the crescent. Did you happen to notice any particular livery on the side of the carriage?
No, I'm sorry. I just looked out my window and saw it driving away. I did not. It was dark, and I wish I had.
Miss Millwood, every little thing that you saw has given us more information than we could have possibly hoped for. Your own eyes are your perfect witness, and we cannot fault them at all. And I do thank you for this information. And he helps himself to another sandwich.
I'm glad I could be of help. If I can do anything to help, I of course I would.
Well, perhaps then, before we start looking into various dens of iniquity, we should make a start in the study before we leave, if that's quite all right with you.
If we could go there
of
now, that would
course.
be excellent.
Yes.
Yes.
It may
Yes,
give us
of
a
course.
place to start.
And she rises, stands up, and starts to head towards the door and indicates for all of you to follow her.
Mr. Fergusson stands up and pockets a couple of macaroons on the way out.
So you head down the hallway and enter into an office. Deep oak paneling running along the walls of the office, floor to ceiling bookshelves filled with books here and there. And then there's a small pile of books next to a battered green armchair. There's a paisley smoking jacket thrown carelessly over the armrest of it. And as you look at the pile of books, you realize that the ones closest to the chair all seem to be books on cards and card strategy and game theory and the like. There's a little bit of French poetry and even Lord Byron's latest book, Childe Harold's Pilgrimage. In the center of the office, you see a very large, dark wooden desk. It has a green leather desk cover.
I think we should look for some letters.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm going to start looking around for any like ledgers, any like, what do I mean? Like back notes of like payments and checks that he might have written.
Okay.
I'd like to check any books on the shelves that might have an indication of a family history. For instance, a family Bible that might have the names of family members there as well. See whether we'll work out who this cousin is.
I think I'm just rifling through drawers in the desk. I think Penelope looks very interested in this very beautiful desk. And she is looking for letters, but she's also just sort of like, gosh, I would love a desk like this to write at.
Oh, well, you should say it. I've got one back at home.
You have a
can
desk?
Well, yes.
A spare desk?
Well, no, but you can always come and write at mine.
Well, perhaps I shall take you up on that offer at some point.
There's an excellent one on the ship as well.
One of the other things you notice.
Mm.
One of the other things you notice, off to one side of the wall, opposite of the desk, is a door that is partially open. And from what you can see, just from beyond, this is probably Mr. Millwood's personal chambers. You see some red velvet drapes that are attached to a 4-poster bed from looking in the doorway. Rather scandalously hedonistic feel to it just from the glance that you have. Those of you in searching around through the desk, you find a family ledger. It's very easy to find. And you'd like to roll accounting for me.
Is that me? Let's give it a go.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll accounting.
That's wrong.
Let's see what it does. Failure.
Okay. Well, it's a ledger. That's very obviously it has the numbers to it. You can't quite interpret it what all of that means right now, but there are vast sums of money seemingly being bandied about just from the numbers that you're looking at. That is enough to be concerning to you, but you're not entirely sure how it all kind of adds up. You also found. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I've as a cleric, I have done a fair amount of parish finances, and I have a bit more experience in accounting. If I may cast an eye just over the captain's shoulder, just to see whether I glance at anything as well.
Certainly, please.
That is also a failure, but 76 over 45.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anybody like to push a roll this early, or are we?
You know what?
We're
Why
just
not?
gonna go with it?
Mine
What?
was 9 versus 5. Does
Ooh.
that mean that I can like? There was something that I could do. I could
Spend luck.
or something because it was really close.
You know what? You could, if you'd like to spend 4 points of luck to make that a success.
Sure.
Nice.
I'm not going to need luck later on.
No,
This
not
is
at all.
definitely the most dangerous and high stakes this is going to get.
Yes.
Well,
I mean, you
it's
have
only
to make the
4
first one to
points.
succeed.
Okay. So, Mr. Fergusson, you also look over the shoulder and you can see the numbers are rather large, and that is a concern in and of itself, though you can't quite or you said you were going to push the roll? You were going to try to push?
So I think that the fact that I followed up after Theo should probably count as a push myself.
Okay.
So
we're just going to go between the two of you as you look over and you do a little discussion, kind of looking over the numbers, and then it occurs to you both that as you are looking at those numbers and realizing the vast amounts of money that are being bandied about by Mr. Millwood, you start your mind starts to realize the Millwoods are very much in the red. Louisa's fear is very, very well founded. This family is in very, very much debt. Tremendous amount of debt, thanks to his gambling losses. In fact, you're surprised that the books are as truthful as they are. You would think that a man losing this amount of money would potentially like to not be quite so honest in his books, but these books are fairly honest. And you realize that if Miss Millwood was to enter into a marriage arrangement, she would have a very, very poor dowry indeed. And that would not suit her whatsoever. One of the other things as you're rifling through is you notice a silver lighter embossed with the hand of playing cards. He is very much a gambler in every sense of the word.
A lighter, sorry.
Yes, a silver lighter.
I'm gonna pocket that.
What is everyone else doing? I think we had one that was looking through books on the
Yeah,
shelf.
I was
It was-
looking through
yeah,
some
okay.
books on the shelves, but I
Okay.
can understand that because I failed my accounting, I probably got distracted by the ledger instead. So happy to.
Yes. Okay. Sure.
I've been looking through drawers, any papers or letters that I can find.
Same. I've been looking particularly for correspondence, or maybe if he has a diary, if he had arranged to meet somebody, or calendar, anything that has dates and places and people that he's recently been socializing with.
You look through and you don't see anything along those lines, Miss Chesterton. But it occurs to you that he probably wouldn't keep a diary in his desk. That would probably be somewhere in his private chambers. Which is conveniently right there.
Off to the private chambers then. If I'm not finding anything here, I might as well start looking in his private room.
Okay.
I'll follow you out of curiosity. I've never been in a man's chambers before, I know.
Neither has Ruth.
So both of you kind of push the door open a bit. And yes, with the glimpse that you had of the red velvet drapes, the whole of the room comes into view, and it kind of almost takes your breath away a little bit on the truly rakish hedonism nature of the room. The red velvet drapes, everything is very, very posh, but almost very scandalous. There's shall we say, a rather trying to think of the word here. Let's just say that there's a statue not too far from the bed on one of the credenzas that well, let's just say you would need to avert your eyes because oh my. But it's beautifully done, but not of a nature that you can you could be able to. He had to have had this done discreetly because this is not something that would be available in polite company. You feel your cheeks flush as you kind of move through the room.
It's not a
If you
self
could,
statue, is it?
not sure. And that is a question that brings even more flush to your cheeks to think about. If both of you could give me spot hidden rolls, please, as you tear your eyes away from the rather metal creation.
My goodness.
Failure for me.
A success for Miss Ruth Chesterton. That never happens when I play Regency on the Playhouse. Normally, the dice hate me when I play Regency. But
Well-
I have 16 over 25.
You do. That is lovely. Okay, so you stop doing that, computer. As you look over through, you are able to find a diary. And I will put that as well in the Discord. You are able to find a diary with the last entry listed as April 14th. April 4th, 1813. So, and that seems to coordinate with the timeline roughly. It says the 14th, but we're going with the 4th. Just roll with it. So, let's see. If you would like to give a little bit of that information, you don't have to read the whole thing, but if you'd like to at least hit some of the highlights.
Yeah, I'll have come and gathered to sort of look over your shoulder as you read.
Of course. I found a diary. April the 14th, 1813. It's very recent. I must not play again at DFs.
EF.
DF. Tomorrow I declare myself reformed, never to spend another cent on cards. I wish I could stay here, but I suppose I must make an appearance at the assembly rooms at my sister's request. But they really are the assembly rooms. But they really are the assembly rooms. All those infantilizing women and mothers hovering over me, fawning over me. If only they knew how terrible I was. I wish I could stop. That there is a compulsion in me. Just one more game and I know I can win back the money I've lost. SC is no help at all, and I fear he may recall my debts too soon. Must find Louisa someone before that happens. The spring ball might be just the place, and I'll be sure to keep an eye out on any eligible young men, although heaven forbid she meets a clergyman then. I'll never hear the end of their proselytizing. But it is nice to know that someone cares. I surely don't deserve it. Was £800. Wins £800. Losses £1,100.
Heavens. Do we know anybody by the initials of DF or SC?
Was it SC or SE?
Was it SC or SE?
I think that's SC. SC is no help at all.
And may recall debts. Well, that sounds just as we
Yes.
feared.
£1,100.
It's
My
quite
goodness.
a sum.
It is.
Can I say that I'm now leaning on the door frame, listening to that? Can I think back potential gambling circles that I've been in for any of these people?
Give me an idea roll. That would be your int.
Success.
Fabulous. Okay. So what you know of the general gambling halls, there is, again, the card room uh, at the Crescent Hotel. So that's probably the most respectable of the gambling halls, or anything even akin to that. The most, and it's considered rather sordid, on the not so appropriate side of town for most, ladies and most of the ton to go to, but several do, is the Graves Hotel. It's rather the most infamous of the area gambling halls. It's controlled by local, uh, well, it's controlled by local a crime boss. Um, and there's gambling, there's prostitution out of there, all sorts of vices are indulged at the Graves Hotel. Um, you're not sure if DF would stand for anyone there, or for another associate or anything else. But at least in town, those would probably be the first two. There are several others. They're smaller in various locations, but those would be the first two you would think of to check out.
I can't think of any men with those initials that I would have bumped into.
Not offhand, but if they are associated in any way with gambling, if they're not at those locations, they are probably known by people who are at those locations. There's, and you also remember that Miss Millwood mentioned a Sir Culverton from Inglemere House, as a constant companion to her brother.
Penelope has taken her notebook and pens that she keeps in her reticule and is kind of just copying notes down from the diary. She's gone into full detective mode.
Okay.
Perhaps this DF hosts private parties. If it says I must not play again at DF's. But what can be so terrible that they can't play in even the Graves Hotel?
Maybe he's
As you said, please.
Maybe he's finally come to his senses as to the perfidious nature of his gambling, and he is feeling remorse for this. Doesn't quite fit with what we know of Henry. Please, Mr. Zad, you were saying.
Well, only that I believe you were quite right about a private game if it says at DFs, but that perhaps visiting some of the better known playing houses might yield knowledge on who those men might be.
And asking Louisa as to the identity of this Culverton, if his first name begins with an S, we may indeed have our SC here. I feel this is probably I shall visit her straight away, and I shall
Absolutely.
ask her.
But I must say, I don't think we ought to worry Louisa with quite how dire the situation seems just yet. If we find her brother and are able to talk some sense into him, there may be a way of resolving the situation, and she already seems under quite great strain. I should not like her to think that her house and livelihood are in danger just yet.
And a most
I agree.
astute observation. I feel tact is of the utmost import here.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'd like to go back to Louisa and, in my best ministering way and reassuring way, I'd like to ask her. You mentioned a Culverton, just so we have an avenue to inquire as to find your brother's location. What is Culverton's full name?
Oh, yes, Sir Devlin Culverton. Yes, he is the He was my brother's constant companion, from what I understand. He also gambles.
So
He
Devlin.
once mentioned Devlin, yes, Culverton.
Just so I can be 100% sure, spell that with a D, not a silent letter such as an S or.
No,
No, not at all.
he-
We just want to have all of our facts straight so that we can find Henry. It is our most sincere wish that we can reunite you with your brother as well. And I thank you again for your kind information here. I shall retire to my comrades again.
Did you find something? Does this mean you know where he might be? Is he with Sir Culverton?
We suspect that he has been. Well, we know that he has a penchant for visiting the houses of gaming, some of the more disreputable houses, and we feel that if I've forgotten his name again, Sir Danvers, Sir Devlin.
Sir Devlin.
Sir Devlin.
Sir Devlin. Sir Devlin
Sorry.
Culverton.
We fear that if Sir Devlin has been also in attendance at these houses, that he probably will have an idea as to where Henry is. I feel this is a good avenue for us to follow up.
Oh, yes. I should have thought of that first. But yes, you're right. They go gambling quite often together, and yes, you will find him over at Inglemere. At least that's his home, unless he's out.
And then to Inglemere we shall sally forth. Once we have finished looking in the study, of course.
Oh, yes. I do hope that maybe Sir Devlin has some information. I can't imagine.
I'd like to take her hand very gently, in a non-threatening way, and I hope her hand is gloved because that would not be societally acceptable, and pat her hand very gently and say, "Rest assured, madam, we will find your brother." And I'll pour her another strong cup of tea and pass it to her.
Oh,
and help myself to another
you.
sandwich as I go.
Thank you, Sir Mr. Fergusson.
You are most welcome,
Hi.
Millwood.
Mr. Fergusson, I would love for you to make me, let's do an interpersonal, let's do one of our skill. Let's do a skill check. Oh goodness, for you.
Reputation, perchance?
How about a reassure?
I can do a reassure, absolutely. My reassure
Can we
is
do
not...
a reassure?
That is a 91 over 10. Not quite a fumble, but still definitely not a success.
Not a success. You realize that as you are comforting her, you could almost feel the tension that there was you kind of felt that there was a little bit of tension when she was talking about Sir Devlin Culverton. And as you take her hand in yours very forwardly, even though she seems to be okay with it, that you almost feel that tension kind of ease as she looks, her beautiful blue eyes look into yours. All right. What is everybody else doing while the good Reverend is speaking with Miss Louisa?
Well, ladies, are we carrying on with the hints we found so far? Are we moving on, or shall we delve deeper, as they might say?
I think the Culverton house is a good place to start if everybody is in agreement.
Yes, I think so. Now, whether it is Sir Devlin Culverton, she wouldn't know that because Mr. Fergusson hasn't yet come back into the room, I guess.
Oh, we're just having a very loud conversation that you can hear.
Very loud conversation. Whoever this SC is, perhaps he can be prevailed upon to not call in the debts quite so early.
Perhaps. I think maybe I should look around at the crescent and perhaps the graves, just to make doubly sure.
Yes.
Certainly. perhaps to identify this DF and find out if there is indeed a private game going on.
Yes, well, no time to lose.
Yes. So Inglemere House first then, and hopefully Calverton is able to give us some leads. If not, back to the hotel first, and we'll see where we go from there.
Yep. So all of you gather, you exchange your pleasantries with Miss Millwood, make your assurances, and gather once again into the carriage. And I am assuming from what you were saying that you are headed to Inglemere House and to see to see Sir Devlin Culverton.
I will, of course, let the others know that I now know Sir Devlin's name.
Very good insight.
Okay. So you head out to a little ways away and head to Inglemere House. When you tell the driver that you are headed in that direction, the footman, he gets, as you are loading into the carriage, you notice a flash of something on his face.
Is there a problem, sir?
Forgive me, sir. I don't wish to speak out of turn. You can tell he's holding something back.
Well, elaborate. I promise I shan't bite.
Well, if you be a thing, sir. You said you were headed to Inglemere House. Do you know Sir Culverton, then?
Well, he's rather a friend of a friend.
Well, I've seen him in church.
Well, I've seen him in the clubs.
You probably have not seen him in the church.
I've definitely not seen him at William Wilberforce's house, I presume.
No. In fact, none of you have actually seen him before. Jonas has a look on his face like he's trying to, like, he's not sure because he's really knows he's kind of speaking out of turn, but would Miss Louisa be making introductions then?
No, it's much better she stay here.
However, a letter of introduction, that could work.
So everyone roll me etiquette, please. And again, this is very much a Regency.
Yeah.
This is very much a Regency
Failure.
Oh, failure for me.
36 versus 15.
56 and 28.
15. I fail.
None of us are particularly etiquette-full. Let's go with that word.
Ruth Chesterton
Just walk in
has
and be like,
managed
"Friend's house."
Well,
a hard success, though. 25 against 54.
The voice of reason
Excellent.
in
I think
society.
Ruth is very sensitive to matters of etiquette because she knows, as a woman from the Caribbean and as a Black woman in particular, she has to behave twice as full of propriety as anybody else to be taken pretty much half as seriously in the world that she is living in. So I think she's very knowledgeable and very sensible about how far you can push things without being socially censored.
And you know very much that introductions are everything in the Regency era. You don't go just driving up to people's houses that you don't know and saying hello. That being introduced, introductions being made by mutual acquaintances and whatnot, at least in some form, is highly necessary to make this. Otherwise, it could be very damaging.
Mr. Fergusson, a letter of introduction, as you said, I think that is an ideal suggestion.
In that case, I shall be one moment. And he climbs down from the carriage and re-enters the house. And looking across the drawing room at Miss Millwood. Miss Millwood, I crave a boon. In order to speak to Sir Devlin, could it be possible that we might have a letter of introduction to smooth the path, as it were?
Oh, goodness. I apologize. I should have thought of that. I'm so sorry. Yes, of course, of course. And she goes over to a desk and takes out a pen, a writing implement, and pops open a little jar of ink, takes a paper, and quickly writes something down on a sheet, allows it to dry, and then hands it over to you. Please, please, if you could express and my apologies as well, even though I put them in there, and that it is of grave importance that he assist in any way possible. While I dislike the man terribly, this certain things must be accommodated to help my brother.
Of course, Miss Millwood. And may I say that your sincere statements are as remarkable as your penmanship on this letter. If this letter can aid us in our journey to find your brother, I feel that it will be most appreciated by Sir Devlin. He cannot refuse such a letter as this. I shall wither away, but we shall return. Fear not. He bows and
Forward
takes
to it. Mr. Fergusson.
Miss Millwood.
I shall wither away.
And you, I guess, head back to the carriage, letter in hand.
And I will tuck it gently into an inside pocket of my jacket to keep it safe from prying eyes.
When you get back to the carriage, I think Penelope is kind of scribbling in her notebook, like all of the information that we found. And she's just kind of, since you've left, she's been kind of just musing aloud to the carriage because she feels comfortable with you two over the past few days of spending time with you. And she's just sort of going on about how this is why I've no intention to ever marry. Propriety be damned. I just don't think it right that your whole livelihood be reliant on the fragility of men's kindnesses and whims. And people like to judge me quite often, but I think this is a prime example of why a woman forging her own career is quite a fine thing.
Yes, I couldn't agree with you more.
Well, it's rather
I
progressive
quite
of you
agree.
for a man.
Yes,
You're rather forward thinking, aren't you?
I have many cousins.
Female cousins, I suppose, and sympathy for them.
Well, yeah, sympathy for the whole sex, to be honest.
I think we quite require it sometimes.
But that said, they would make a fine match, would they not? He is a very caring man. We have worked together on many occasions. He is very forward-thinking in many respects.
Who? Sorry?
Mr. Fergusson and Miss Louise.
I'm sorry. You think Mr. Fergusson is forward thinking in his views?
Very much so. Yes. He is a great supporter of the abolitionist movement.
Well, that is admirable.
And you, do you think he's very forward thinking in his views? He said a piece the other day about, what was it? About women not being allowed to indulge in their own pleasures or something to that effect. What are your views on this?
Is that when you come back in?
Yes,
Mr. Fergusson, we were just speaking of you.
I
was just speaking the other day about your comment about women not being allowed to enjoy their own pleasures. Could you elaborate on that?
And we will allow that conversation to continue off screen as the carriage heads out to Inglemere House. It doesn't take long to get there. As much as we'd love to hear this, we do need to move along. So Inglemere House, you come up to it. It does not take too long. Where Millwood Manor was cozy in its nature, Inglemere feels very much the opposite of it, very rigid and austere. The hedgerows cut in perfect lines match the harsh angles of the buckwork and manicured lawns of the estate. Money is definitely in play here, very old money from what you can tell. And it feels it. It seems to permeate out of this in a very, very almost domineering style and feel to it. This does not feel warm and welcoming whatsoever. The carriage pulls up to the front door, and a footman comes out and opens the door, and you head to the large front doors just as it seems the head butler, because you can tell he is older, very thin, almost gaunt, and very much, even though he is not very tall, you can feel more than see him looking down at you, all of you. And you know that there's already a faux pas in place just because you've come unannounced. And he looks down. Yes. May I help you?
Mr. Fergusson pulls the letter from his pocket and says, "My good friend, I have here a letter for your master. If you would be so kind as to deliver it. It is from Miss Louisa Millwood, who I believe is a mutual acquaintance of ours. We crave an audience with him in order to discuss a most delicate matter. My friends and I," and he indicates the fellow investigators, "are happy to wait here until he sees it fit to see us and passes over the letter to the butler."
I shall see if he is in. Won't you come in?
Thank you, my good sir. And being a true gentleman, lets everybody else enter first.
All right, the ladies go in first.
Even
followed
the
by
captain can come in before me.
Oh no, I insist.
Oh, no, not at all, not at all. A true naval
After
hero such
you,
as
sir.
yourself.
I'm sure you do an excellent job for the community. You should definitely hold yourself at a much higher regard than me.
Shall we split the difference and enter at the same time?
We're having
you
an
insist.
etiquette off.
We're all walking at the same time.
Shoulder to shoulder. We hope it's white door.
the head butler looks at you, and you could almost feel his eye roll and sigh internally, though he does not show it whatsoever on the outside. He's very much a professional in his position. Once he establishes, sets you into the closest sitting room, he disappears through a set of beautiful wood double doors and closes them behind him. And you are left there of your own account. The room itself is small, but you tell it's almost like it's set specifically as a waiting room. It's barely a sitting room. It's almost like a foyer to a sitting room. This is the largest estate in the area, so this place has probably rooms upon rooms upon rooms. It is elegantly furnished, dark wood everywhere, very luxe fabrics, and the lamps are of the most beautiful glass. Everything is done just so and reeks of old money, long established, though there's not everything even in this room while as luxurious as it is, still has this feeling of very prim and proper. And you wait, and you wait, and you wait. Finally, after some time, almost to an uncomfortable portion, the butler returns and opens the wooden door and says, "This way."
Thank you.
And he leads you all down a hallway. One of the things that stands out into the room that you come into, which looks to be almost like a second, even more formal room. There is a huge, very large, very let's just say almost disturbing type style of painting. But anyway, this painting is rather large and it takes up a very large space behind on one wall behind a rather imposing tall back chair. And you almost get the feeling like that is not the chair you want to sit in. You're pretty sure that is probably for Sir Culverton himself.
What an unusual piece of art.
I've never seen anything like it.
A biblical
Fergusson.
subject?
Do you suppose he's compensating for anything with the size of that chair?
One does not comment upon the size of one's chair as long as one is able to use said chair.
I suppose.
And in fact, you may comment upon the chairs there, but my patroness, Lady Bagtonbury, she has the chairs in the great room at her estate much larger than that. Chairs of truly prestigious dimensions. And as for the fireplace there, well, but that painting, it definitely has something about it. I can't quite put my finger on. Keeper, you mentioned that
Yes.
it's an angel. Is there any particular religious significance that I can detect in this as a clergyman?
Well, let's see. Roll me religion,
I
please.
will do. Actually, not bad at religion, surprisingly. That is a 40 under 70, a regular success, but I'm willing to spend the 35 points of luck to make it a hard success if needed.
You're actually going to make me look up the information on that.
It means we're doing our jobs as investigators.
All right. Let me pull this up then very, very quickly.
Some people have wild luck levels. I'm at 20 max, and I've already spent 4.
That is really low, 20 luck. What have I got?
You're unlucky.
Yeah. If I knew that it was that low, I probably wouldn't have used it for the ledger. Wow.
I've got 50.
60.
60 low, I'm on 40.
Well, I'm not very lucky.
You're probably living on borrowed time. You've spent all your luck in various sea battles or something.
Probably.
Dodged quite literally a bullet a few times.
All right. So our wonderful clergyman, you are reminded that there was quite a bit of a brouhaha about Blake's series. There was a whole a series of some of this. The paintings were done during just recently, actually between 1805 and 1810. Blake was commissioned to create well over 100 paintings intended to illustrate the books of the Bible. The paintings depicting the great red dragon from the book of Revelations, coming back to like Revelations 12, 3 and 4 in the King James Version. And behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. His tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. So it's about basically the end of the world. And this particular one was, to kind of show the juxtaposition between, the coming of the devil and Armageddon versus, the light of God and those that are holy and the innocent. And it's, the back and forth. But there's several of these that depict the struggle between heaven and hell and the grotesques, and the horrors that will come when, when Revelations comes to pass. So for you, it very much strikes a chord within you to when you're looking at this and just the horrors of it. You almost feel yourself wanting to cross yourself and say a silent prayer that why someone would hang an image such as this within their home.
Under his breath, he completes the Revelations 12:4. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Just quietly was staring at this monstrous painting. With a shudder turns away.
And as you turn away, you come face to face with a man, tall, gaunt, his very pale. It would be considered handsome if it wasn't so cold, with the hardened look within the eyes. They're gray and they sit in deep set sockets. The high cheekbones give him a very haughty look. And he does not look at all pleased that uninvited guests have invaded their home. In one hand, long bony fingers, he holds the letter of introduction. And he stares at each of you in turn, and you can feel him staring and sizing each of you up.
Well, offer up a hand.
And at that, we are going to close the curtain on this particular episode of The Well of All Fear. Don't worry, there is more to come. So, for all of us, all of you, we thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to bringing the second episode very soon to find out what our investigators will find. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you for joining us for Act 1 of The Well of All Fear by Cat Clay. If you have enjoyed this episode, then please leave a review wherever you've watched or listened to this production. And if you'd like to support us further, please take a look at our Ko-fi. That's ko-fi/Miskatonic Playhouse, and our website, www.miskatonicplayhouse.com, where you can find us on all the social media platforms with links found in the show notes. Until next time, when the curtain rises again.